So hello everyone, welcome to my video on how to find a loop in a linked list. So what do you mean by a loop? So basically a loop is a situation where a node in a linked list points to a previous node instead of pointing to null. So here you can see an example one picture. So here the node of the linked list -4 is pointing to the previous node which have value 2 in it. So So this creates a cycle in the list and that can cause problems. So how can we detect if a linked list has a loop? So let me show you with an analogy. So let's say, okay, so let's say it is a linear racetrack, okay, and there are two cars, C1 and C2. So first one is running 200 km/h speed and second one is running with 150 km/h. So if they start from the same position, so they will never meet again because they have different speeds. The faster car will always be ahead of the slower car. Now imagine, okay, let me delete it. Okay, so now imagine a circular racetrack and the same two cars. First two, C1, C2, and its speed is 200. We have taken, and here we have taken 150. So if they start from the same position, okay, and they will meet again at some point because the faster car will eventually catch up with the slower car. The faster car will complete more laps than the slower car. Huh? So the faster it will go, it will eventually complete it, and the slower will slowly. So in future they will meet again. So we can use this concept to find a loop in a linked list. So there are different methods to implement to find a loop inside a linked list. So first one is to let's take an example and then I will describe you what I mean to say. So okay, and this pointing, and let's say this pointing here. So first one is to store. So let's say its address is 200, its address is 300, and let's say its address is 150. So first one is to store the address of the linked list in hash map or anything. So if you store 200 in a hash map or let's say array again. So if we store this in array, this in array, and again, so if find 200 in array. So we found that both are same. So this is loop. And the second method is to store the elements of the linked list if they are unique. I mean to say let's take an example and I will show you. So okay, so here it's element 10, 20, 10. So there it should be 30 here. So they are unique elements. So if we store it in an array 10, 20, 30. So this is we found that there is no loop. So if this last node is pointing to this and again we are storing here it in this so we can see that this and this are same. So this is loop. And the third is we can use two pointers, one fast and one slow. So let me take an example. Okay, delete it. So let's take an example here and I will show you what I mean by taking two pointers to detect a loop in the linked list. 3, 10, and 11 and 13. So here, okay, so we have taken two pointers. fast and a slow, and let's say fast. Here we have taken F and S to designate fast and slow, and they initially they both point to head only. Okay, so the fast pointer will move two nodes at a time. So what does this mean? The fast pointer will move one, two. So here, so the fast pointer will be move two nodes at a time, while the slow pointer. So here this slow pointer. So slow pointer will move one node at a time. So if the list has a loop, so if the list has a loop, the fast pointer will eventually meet the slow pointer, just like the cars on the circular track. Okay, so the fast pointer will eventually meet, as we saw in the as we saw in the analogy of the car. Okay, so if the list has no loop, the fast pointer will reach the end of the list, just like the cars on the linear track. So, so what we have to do? So how can we write this in the code? So we have to iterate until p and p dot next are not null, because if p is null, it means we have reached the end of the list and there is no loop. If p dot next is null, it means we are at the last node of the list and there is no loop. So if the p, so let's say there is no loop in this, and if the p reach here and p dot next is null, okay, it means we are at the last node of the list and there is no loop. So if p and q are equal, it means we have found a loop and we can return true, otherwise we can return false. Okay, so let me code here. What I mean here that let's say if p, if there is no loop. Okay, so if there is no loop, so what I said, if p and p dot next, so let's code here. So what I said, p will move two times and q will move one time, and if p is equal to q, then return false. So while we have taken p and p dot next, so let's say if there is no loop, so if the p reaches here, if the p reaches here and we have not checking for this condition, so here what we have done, p is equal to p dot next. So here we are assigning p dot next, which is null, and it's null, so this will give an error. So that's why we are checking p dot next here. So if so it means that if the p is here, okay, p is here, and if p, and we are also checking p dot next, okay, so p dot next is null, so this loop will terminate and this will not give an error if we are if we have not checked this condition. So what we will do, so this while p, so p is here true, so what we will do, q is equal to q dot next and p is equal to p dot next dot next. So p dot next is what, null, and next dot next is null, so this will give an error, like initializing null to a point p. Let's code it in a LeetCode, and let's say, so okay, so let p is equal to head, q is equal to head. So while p and p dot next, I already told you why we have taken this condition p and p dot next, not now. What we'll do, q is a slow pointer, so q is equal to q dot next, it will move one time only, and p is equal to p dot next, it will move two times. And if p is equal to q, we will return true, else return false, as we saw in the analogy of car. So we will run it. Okay, so it's accepted, so now submit. So I hope you understand the concept of finding a loop in a linked list. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or suggestion, please leave a comment below. And I am also planning to create a JavaScript course with some awesome projects. So stay tuned for that, and God bless you all.